take a look at some of the pieces that make up this technology. This is where I've installed the main management console where I'm going to create my assignments. And what I have here is I've got a kind of clean Windows 8 machine that's been optimized by the Citrix best practice script. And this would also, these packages created here would also work for 2000 Server 12R2 and XenApp. We tend to see really good compatibility between the desktop and server families. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to package Firefox. And we're going to select VHD or VMDK. I can pick either or. And I'm going to pick what size VMDK I can choose. And we can type in any number here we want, so we can manage the disks completely here. I can type in 5 gig, 20 gig. I tend to go 20 gig, turn off compression because it's a thin disk anyway. So when I click Start, everything I do to the system is automatically recorded into the application layer. So I'm going to go ahead and then run the Firefox setup. I run the installer just like normal. Nothing special that has to be done. Just do my normal routine for the installers. If my installers have scripts, if they've got different dependencies they install, whatever it might be, I'm just going to go ahead and just run through the installer like normal. It looks like I grabbed the stub file, so it'll take a second to download. But at this point, it's going to download the file probably to a temporary location that's not part of the layer. We avoid temporary locations because we don't want bloat in the layering. And once the installer kicks off, all the registry keys that are being modified and all the directories that are being modified on the system are then going to be put into the VHD that's now on the network and accessible. And it's going to ask me now, do I want to save this package or do I want to configure or extend it? You know, if I extend it, that means I might want to continue packaging and add more things potentially. If I want to configure it, I might want to open the application and set the default values for certain things and let that be pushed to the user. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. We've automatically grabbed the icon that you saw on the desktop. We've kind of pulled that into the system. So let's take a look at the console again, and all these applications have been checked into inventory. As I package them, they're transmitted. The packaging console is stateless. It has no state. Its point is to roll back every single time. So as you do things to the system, they are transmitted and sent up to the management console ready for delivery. So what does it look like to deliver these applications? I would go into a configuration here, and now I'm going to get my control panel looking view. This is where the combined platform comes in handy. I've got an entire user management system in place. I can manage profiles, I can manage application restrictions, privilege elevation, I can manage a lot of things, shortcuts, drives, printers, all those things that you might do in different other products. This is a single interface to get it done. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a configuration rule. And it's as simple as dragging and dropping or typing in what I might be looking for into the search. And I can drag and drop and create a rule of who I want this to be delivered to. You notice a reference to a differencing disk path. The differencing disk path is for the write cache. Each user gets their own write cache for the applications. But you can redirect this write cache anywhere you want. I could have actually picked any different tier of storage I wanted when I did this. I could decide that certain file share A is SSD, another file share B is spinning disk SATA. So I can control the amount of IOPS I might need for delivering these applications. And on top of that, if I start out with a VHD deployment, I can actually go into the packaging console, I can actually select one of these packages, and I can actually clone a package from VHD or to VMDK and back. So I can start out with one technology and then deliver a different technology when I go to production. Filtering is big. This is the filtering piece I talked about earlier where I can do different detections of how I want to deliver these applications. Is it a certain user group? Is it a certain department? Is it a certain LDAP query? If I pull up the filtering area, and this is one thing that is unique. So if you decide that you've got a strategy for user profiles and user settings and maintaining drives and printers and shortcuts because you have established environments, been out there for a while, and that's working for you, we will still give you all of our filtering technology from the user environment management piece of the product to leverage for application delivery. And this is really big because this is really limited to most of the time to a environment management product, not a layering product. This is where the benefit of the two platforms combined comes in. I can make a ton of decisions on how I want to deliver an application because the filter will either be true or false. Is my session type of a certain type? Am I a certain operating system? Is it a certain type of server, user group, primary group, machine group? certain ICA address names, and then I've got kind of the Hail Mary approaches as well, where I can look at any registry value or key, any environment variable, file, or directory. So I can make a lot of different decisions. It doesn't have to be just a username or group or OU or machine group. We have over 300 different ways I can make a decision, and I can stack these rules as well. I can say if the machine name starts with X and the following registry key exists for a certain DLL or file, I know that that's a certain group of XenApp servers, so I want to deliver something differently. So we'll log into the website here, and I've got a set of desktops. I'm an administrator as well, so I'm doing some administrative functions. A couple desktops here, the packaging console that you saw, and then I talked about XenApp. Here's where I took all these applications and I layered them to the XenApp server, or XenApp in this environment delivered via MCS, and basically I've said, I went in the studio and I pushed these applications out. It doesn't know the wiser. Those applications are really in the OS. It doesn't know any difference. So I can really remove installing software to XenApp. And I know when I was doing this years ago, it was always the painful part of having a lot of applications on a XenApp server and having some kind of issue and having to dig an application out of the OS to avoid rebuilding any kind of apps. If I look at a desktop point of view, so that was a published app there. Clicked on kind of quickly. Looked at a Windows 8 non-persistent desktop. And I've got a mix here. I can mix and match. I can make a decision on, do I want to deliver applications to the user or at boot time? I've got a mix and match here. At boot time I get some applications, and at login I get others. I can also mix and match VMDKs and VHD-based application layers. I can decide that network-based connections are good enough for a majority of my apps, but I've got certain apps that need that bandwidth. They need that high-speed storage connection that I might have invested in on the back end. So I can put applications in different locations and give it different tiers. And then these things are all portable in that way. I can literally take these VHDs that you saw earlier. If I go to here, and there was this VHD path, I could literally send you this VHD file, and you could import it in your system, and you could bring in applications. So this creates a situation where DR is possible. I can then replicate these images. I can replicate these VHDs across the wire. I can replicate the SAN storage. I can export VMDKs, or I can clone them to VHDs, copy those around, and then import them back in and clone them back to VMDKs. So I can go any direction I need to go with the technology. It's portable application layering on top of all of the things that we talked about in the system. And what's cool to see is this kind of hits home in what's happening. When I look at the operating system and I see directories, I see a lot of different directories here. I see applications, and you see the icons on the desktop. These are all layered, and you'll see kind of corresponding directories here. If I go into the system and I turn off our service, you will literally see the applications disappear. And this kind of resonates around, okay, this is really a non-persistent application layer without tattooing, and the operating system is really pristine and clean. So we'll find our service here. And there's the directories disappeared, and the Notepad++ icon was a user-created icon, so that's not going to be deleted as part of the layer. But basically everything is gone from this OS. It's back to being a clean operating system again. All the applications disappeared from the OS. Gravity.